Hello everybody, I'm Steve and welcome to Greenside Up. I'm down on the allotment today and I'm in the little polytunnel. I've been doing some work in here this morning. I've rather neglected it this year, to be honest. I haven't really been in here much from the first week of January, to be honest. I've just sort of got on with other things, and that's one of the problems I find with having a big plot, is that you can become too engrossed in one area or doing one thing because you're producing so much for that plot, and things can get left. But anyway, I've been in there, cracked on, and we'll go in and have a look now. Okay, so just walking in the front door, and straight away I've got some big crates here, and these are full of compost, literally dry from the bag, and all my Dahlia Tubers are in there. Now I've had a little peek earlier and I'll show you in a bit, but it looks to me like they've survived. Well, certainly the top trays have anyway. But down this bed I did have a load of cabbages here, many of you will remember, and they've been doing okay all the way through the winter really. The frosts and the cold would knock them down a bit, make them a bit limp, but during the day they'd perk up and they were doing okay. But I haven't seen them for about the last 3 or 4 days. I come in this morning and they've been absolutely mullered. Something's been eating them. I suspect it's a rat. It's just too much for slugs, and I don't think there's any around at this time of the year anyway. So it's either mice, but I do think it's rats, and I do know I have a problem here that I need to address this year. So they've all come out, along with a lot of the other bits and bobs that were in this bed that weren't doing too well. I've cleared it out because I'm going to use the bench. Now on the other side I've got some spinach that's going to pick up and grow away, and it will give us a few harvests until I'm ready to use these beds. And there's a few in here as well. Right, I'll just get you set up and I'll show you these dahlias. Right, I'm just going to uncover the top ones. I wonder, I have been thinking that the ones in the lower trays might be in a worse condition, because any moisture that was in the top may have dripped down and through, but we'll soon find that out. But I'm ecstatic about how these look. And look at that, that's in perfect nick. And I just really can't get over, because it's one of those things with dahlias, and again another one. I mean, that's beautiful, nice and plump, no sign of rot. Storing Dahlia tubers is one of those things you've got to get absolutely right, or they just rot away. And normally, on a year-on-year basis, I normally lose anywhere between 50 and 80% of stored tubers. But so far, this is looking incredibly good. I mean, they're just so healthy, so firm. I really can't get over it. Even that one, even though it's looking a bit dark, it's still nice and firm. So I'm rather stoked about that. Now the idea was, I've tried lots of ways before to store them. I thought, well, if I put them in the middle of the tunnel, in trays, in dry compost, they've got the best chance to survive the frosts, and it seems to have worked. So I'm really stoked about that. So yeah, this bed has been cleared out, and I'm now going to use this as a bench area. So these temporary benches now come into use, and it's easy as that, and I've got bench space. Ready to be used. I brought all my onions and leeks down this morning, so they're all going to sit on here now. And what I do tend to do later in the season is I'll use some of the blue hoops into the ground through there, and then a plastic sheet over it, and it's protection inside protection, so it works really well. Let's get this onions in. Right, so there we go, that's all the stuff, all the onions, or allium family, that was in my greenhouse yesterday. They're all down here now, and they'll be fine in here regardless of what the temperature does. So I'll just give them a quick sprinkle of water, tidy these trays up, and yeah, that's done. Now, a couple of days ago, when I finished this bug ben off and posted the video for it, over that thing over there, I stuck a fork in the soil just to have a look to see where we were at. Turned it over, and there was big pieces of ice. I mean, it was white when it came out. So, although the top couple of inches were defrosted, down below it wasn't. So, that's got to defrost, and then that will get wet. And it needs that time to dry out, and it's going to rain over this next week as well. So don't be all eager now that the thaw is on and people have got rid of the snow, got rid of the frost and the ice and everything. People will be eager now to come along and dig that soil over. What you've got to be careful of is soil is a brilliant insulator, and if it's cold underneath, if you dig frost in, if you dig ice into the ground, it'll take a lot longer for it to defrost, and you could end up be in a situation, especially if you do this in March or we get another freeze again, you could end up with a situation where the soil on the top couple of inches is perfect to sow seeds and planting, but then the plants die because it's too cold underneath. So be wary of that, and also be wary of your soil structure as well. If the ground is too wet on top and it's been frozen underneath, when it defrosts, all that water goes back into the soil, and it can ruin your soil structure if you start walking on it or trying to manipulate it. So that's just one to be careful of. Now, this is one of the no-dig beds, and surprisingly, we don't dig this one anyway. But what I did do is with the claw, a couple of weeks ago when we had some frost, is I just lightly scraped over the top just to disturb the weeds, which are now all loose on there. And now that we've thawed out, I'm just going to rake them up. And I'll do this continually now until the bed is cleared. Just keep raking it down, and then I'll go over and pick out all the weeds until it's clear. I mean, each bed should take me no longer than 10 minutes at this time of year. They're all loose. It's no dig anyway, so weeds come out, but I just wanted to disturb them the other week. And it's exactly what I did with that bed just before Christmas. That's that done. That took me 5 minutes just to go through that. There will be one or two weeds that'll come back, but like I have in this one here, there's one or two that have come back, but they'll soon be dealt with a quick raking over, and we'll be ready in March, weed free, to start the year with. Up where the trug is, I've got a couple of lines of parsnips, which I'm going to go and look at now, look to dig up now. That was a trial, but we'll go and have a look at that in the chat. Okay, so this was a trial, and I sowed these parsnip seeds, a couple of rows here and a couple of rows in the large polytunnel on a no-dig area. The idea being, I knew that no-dig sort of speeds growth along, shortens the harvest, you know, the time from sowing to the time to harvest. So I wondered if I sowed in July I could get parsnips for Christmas, and I did. But I left these in because these were outside. They were in perfect conditions in the polytunnel, and it's now February, and I want to clear this bed up to this garlic that's growing away here. So I'm going to dig them up and see what we've got. Tiny. I mean, all the foliage has died back off these. Tiny again, but I think these are edible anyway. That isn't. It's not worth it. So definitely the no-dig ones in the polytunnel work really well. Outside sowing late doesn't look to be worth it. No, these are appalling, unfortunately, but That's why I do the trial, to find out rather than relying a whole crop on it. They're all titchy. Still, it was fun, and definitely the inside growing in the inside in the polytunnel worked well. I mean, that's about the best one in there, and once you peel that, they've been out left. So, nah, not worth it. But that's another trial done and another answer found, so more than happy with that. Oh, that's my old parsley stump from last year. Right, so that didn't work, that part. The first part did. So I'm just giving this bed a quick tickle over. That's all it needs now. It's had its weeding before Christmas, and I'm just keeping the soil loose on top. And while the weather warms up, if there is any weed seed in there, I want them to germinate. That way weeds can start growing and I can get rid of them. So that's all this bed that I've just done, that's all that will need now, is this little tickle over. And I'll go and have a crack with that bed. I left that one a few weeks ago, the same as this one that I've just done. So go and clear that one out in the end over there. Right, so that's it for these beds. These have been tickled over. These are ready to go in March. They'll get another couple of tickles before then. But essentially they're ready to go now. I will put some more compost on them when I get some delivered. And that's it for today. I've got a few mundane jobs to do. You don't want to see them, so I'll crack on with them, then go up home. But that's it for this video. I hope it's been useful. Don't forget, if you're turning soil over this week, just make sure it's not too cold underneath before you turn it over, and you don't turn cold soil into your bed, because the soil will insulate it. So that's my top tip for that. Look after yourselves, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Ta-ra now.